Hello, my name is Alicia, and starting this June, I'm going to be a professional intern with the Walt Disney Company. So there are a lot of videos out there on YouTube about the Disney College program, but as I was going through this professional internship application process, I noticed that there was really a lack of information about professional internships on YouTube. Now, I myself am a college program alumni. I did 2 programs, Fall Advantage 2013, and I went back last year for the Summer Alumni 2015 program, and both times I worked in merchandise. And I know when I was applying for my programs, the videos that I found on YouTube were so helpful, telling me about the application process and what to expect, and they helped me feel really confident going into the process. So I figured that I would make one for the professional internship process so that everyone else can feel more confident than I did going in this season. I will be working as a client services coordinator in the destination sales department. Now, that's a long fancy name, but basically what it means is I'm going to be working out of the offices in Celebration, and myself and my coworkers will be the liaison between the Disney company and the off-property hotels in the area who sell Disney tickets to their guests. And we're really responsible for making sure they have the most up-to-date information about all the tickets and all the offerings that Disney has. This particular position is an alumni-only role just because they want to make sure you're really familiar with Walt Disney World, the Walt Disney World property, and all of the offerings before you go on and promote it to other people. But if you are not a college program alumni, there are plenty of positions out there that don't require you to be one, so you're still able to apply. So to take you through my process of accepting this position, let's go all the way back to January. Now, the professional internship application process started a little bit after the college program application process. The college program applications went up on January 12th, and then a couple weeks later, on January 25th, most of the Parks and Resorts internships for the Walt Disney Company went live on the Disney Careers website. So on that night, I scrolled through the website, looked at all the different positions, and saved the ones to my job cart that I thought I would be interested in applying for. I didn't go ahead and apply to them right away because I wanted to make sure that my resume and cover letter were perfect. And to do that, I visited my school's career center. That's definitely a really good resource if it is available to you. They were able to look over my cover letters, look over my resume, and make sure that it was in good condition to submit. So after I felt confident in my resume and cover letter, I went ahead and applied. So when all was said and done, I applied to about 14 positions. Now, 14 sounds like a lot, but honestly, it's really not. Any additional position you apply for is just another opportunity to ultimately get an offer. Now, there is a little catch with this. If you're going to apply to a lot like I did, you have to make sure that they're all sort of focused in a specific career area. So I'm graduating with a degree in hospitality, but within that degree I focused in marketing and revenue management for my concentration. So looking at professional internships, I was really going for marketing and sales related roles. So all those 14 were tailored to sales and marketing. And as long as your applications are focused, there's no problem in applying to a lot. Now, for alumni-only applications, they're sort of broken down into categories. So, alumni-only operations is the application that my position was under. There's also alumni-only HR, alumni-only guest relations, etc., etc. So within each of those applications, there'll be a checklist, and you'll go down that checklist and check off any of the positions you'd be interested in doing. For example, for the operations application, I checked off 2 that were both sales related. I checked off DVC sales assistant, and I checked off the position I ultimately ended up getting in the destination sales department. And now, after you submit these applications, the waiting starts. Yeah, the Disney College Program application process has a lot of waiting. The professional internship application process has more. The first step you'll see is right after submitting your application, the status will be blank. A few minutes later, once the system has processed your application, you'll get an email saying, "Thank you for applying to this position," and your dashboard will update to submission. That means your application's been submitted, but no one's looked at it yet. Now, applications can stay in submission for hours, days, weeks, months. Sometimes they'll stay in submission forever and you just sit in limbo. But if you stand out from the crowd through your resume and cover letter, none of the positions I applied for required a cover letter, but I decided to write one for all of them because I just think it looks good when the recruiter's looking through your application and they see that you took that extra time to do it. Even if they don't read it word for word, they saw that you put in that extra effort. And I managed to make it out of submission for all my applications, and I'm not saying that was because I wrote cover letters, but it definitely didn't hurt. But after submission, the next stage you'll want to see is in progress. Progress is a good place to be, but it's also a frustrating place to be because unlike the Disney College program, they don't give you a time frame. They don't say you're going to hear back by this date of whether you've been accepted or not. You can be in progress for a very long time. In my particular case, I submitted my applications on January 29th, and several weeks later, on February 9th, I was finally contacted by recruiting to do a phone screening. Now, the phone screening is a general phone interview similar to a college program phone interview, and it applies to all the positions you applied to. So whether you applied to 1 or 14 positions, that phone screening will count for all of them. They ask you a lot of situational questions and questions about your work experience, very similar to the college program interview. And they're pretty quick. They're shorter than college program interviews. They're only supposed to be anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes, whereas college program interviews skew a little higher to like 20 to 30. Then I scheduled my phone screening for February 19th. And then after that phone screening on February 19th, more waiting. I wasn't contacted again for a full month. Then around March 11th, alumni-only roles in operations, HR, etc. started to see drop-downs on their dashboard. Drop-down is kind of a confusing name because ever since they changed the layout of the Disney Careers dashboard, it's not literally a drop-down anymore. The way it works now, you'll see an additional posting on all your job status postings for one of the subheadings that you applied to. So in addition to seeing that I had applied to alumni-only operations, I also saw that I had applied to destination sales and TVC sales. They became their own drop-down. Now that doesn't mean for sure that you'll get another interview or that you'll be offered those positions, but it is a good sign that recruiters and the people in that department like what they saw. On March 19th, I got a phone call out of the blue from the destination sales department. I missed the first call, but I saw that it came from a number in Celebration, and I knew that's where a lot of the calls were coming from for other people who were applying for professional internships because they've been posting all about it in the Facebook group. And I knew that they would call back, whether that would be in a couple hours or the next day. So they did call back, and that call back came while I was eating brunch in a diner with my family. I stepped out from the table into the little vestibule by the street and had my follow-up interview. I thought they were calling me to set up a time to do a second interview, but no, they just started interviewing me right on the spot as I stood in the doorway of the diner. They asked me a little bit about the position, what I knew about it, about how it would relate to my past jobs, etc., etc. It was a very short call, maybe like 7 minutes, and then it was over. And I was like, I think I just did my second interview. Now, despite all my other applications sitting in progress, I only received one other contact for another department to do follow-up interviews, which I did for a leisure sales support internship. And I did that second interview the week after I did my destination sales interview. Then after both of those follow-up interviews, all I could do was wait. A bunch of the other positions I had applied for but hadn't gotten interviews for yet had already moved on to their second round of interviews, so I didn't think I would be getting offered any of those. So I set in progress for a bunch of different internships, but figured that I only really had a good chance for the 2 that I had interviewed for, plus maybe the other alumni-only operations one. And then that's when I started getting some NLIC emails, so it's no longer in consideration emails. They started coming from positions that I really didn't think I was going to get, so I wasn't too upset or too shocked when I got them. But then I got an NLIC email for alumni-only operations. And when I got that email, I thought that meant I was out of the running for all the operations positions. But I learned in the Facebook group that as long as you still have your drop-downs in progress, you're still in the running. So no, I was still in the running for destination sales and DVC sales. And after that, I waited some more, got a couple more NLICs for all of the many roles that I applied to. And I started to see people getting accepted for different positions in the Facebook group, and it was so exciting every time someone posted whether they're getting accepted for a management internship, internships in Florida, internships in California. My time finally came on April 4th. That morning I had gotten a bunch of NLIC emails for other roles, so I wasn't feeling great that day. I was kind of in like a bad mood because I was seeing all these opportunities officially go away, even though I didn't think I was going to get them. But then, later on in the day, a little before 3, I saw that I had a missed call from an unknown number and a new message. That message was from the Disney recruiter, Marcy, who also happens to run the Disney Alumni Association Facebook group. And she said that she wanted to go over some more information about one of the PIs that I applied to. I knew from being in the Facebook group that usually means an offer is coming. I tried to stay calm. I called her back at the number she gave me in her message, told her that I hope we can talk that day, gave her when I was available, and then I was just waiting for her to call back. She finally did call back about an hour later, and I was walking down the street of New York City. I had to put my headphones in so I could hear her because it was way too loud. And she's like, I can call you back, it's fine if this isn't a good time. And I was like, no, this is a good time. Tell me now. I didn't actually say that. So we went over some basic information about my application, like if I was still eligible to work in the United States, if I was on a work visa, if I had a driver's license, if I had transportation, if I would be interested in the corporate sponsored housing in Florida, and a bunch of other very simple questions like that you know the answer to right off the top of your head. Nothing too strenuous. And then finally, at the end of that call, after I answered all of her questions, she said, so based on your answers to those questions, I can go ahead and offer you the destination sales position. Now, I'm not someone to totally freak out and scream and cry, although I did when I got into my first college program. But I went, yay, on the phone, and she laughed because she thought it was such a weird, calm reaction. And after that, after I verbally accepted on the phone, which you have to do, but if you say yes on the phone, you're not fully committed. You're not committed until you fill out the paperwork they email you. I ended that phone call, and just a few minutes later, I got an email from Marcy with the official offer letter, which includes your role, your pay rate, and the place to accept your role at the very bottom. I tried to call my parents to tell them, and they happened to be on vacation in New Zealand at the time, and I was really scared I wouldn't be able to reach them. The time difference is so off, and I would just not be able to get in contact with them. But at the same time, I didn't want to post about it online until I told them, because I didn't want them to see. Thankfully, they picked up on the second try, and I got to tell them, and we got super excited and freaked out on the phone together. And then after I got off the phone with them, I went ahead and accepted my offer through the email. After I accepted my offer, I got a follow-up email asking me for some additional information. It's pretty much the same email they send you after you accept your college program, where it just asks some information about your background, criminal history, etc. After I submitted that, I received an email welcoming me to the professional internship team, and it included my program date. You report right to casting instead of having a whole college program check-in process. You meet at the casting building to sign your documents, and then 2 days later, I have traditions, and I'll be doing that in June. Now, I personally am opting to live in the company-sponsored housing at the Falcon Square Apartments in Florida, right behind Magic Kingdom. And I'll do another video where I go more in depth about the housing process, how the process works from transferring from your college program if you've accepted one before you end up getting accepted to your professional internship, and go into some detail about Falcon Square versus getting an offset apartment, and why ultimately I decided to stay in Falcon. I'll save that for another time because this is getting kind of long. I hope that was informative about the professional internship process for sales and marketing internships, my internships in particular. I hope I didn't leave anything out. Otherwise, feel free to ask me any questions either down here on YouTube, via my Twitter, or my Tumblr, and I'll be sure to answer them in a future video. But otherwise, I will see you real soon.